How's it going, everybody? Welcome to today's stick mobility class. I am Coach Ray, and as usual, thank you for joining me. So for today's class, we are going to keep it simple in terms of what equipment we'll actually be using. We're going to stick with 2 long sticks today. You also notice I have 2 kettlebells behind me and a pad for us to kneel on. So for today's class, the focus is going to be particularly on some conditioning. And we're going to utilize the kettlebells to do a kettlebell complex. And so effectively all that means is we're going to start off with one exercise, and how I'm going to do the complex is I'm going to build on adding an exercise every time. So we're going to start on one exercise, the next set we're going to add on another exercise, the next set we're going to add on another exercise. So this is going to be very cardiovascularly taxing. So if you want a class like that, this is the class for you, folks. So we are not going to be working with anything too significantly heavy. The kettlebells that I have behind me are both 16 kilos each, but what we will do is we'll keep the reps moderately high. So we're going to look at sets of about roughly maybe anywhere between 5 to 10, but I want you to base that on how you are feeling and also what kind of results you're looking for. If you want to go a little bit heavier, you are more than welcome to, but if you want to keep it a little bit lighter, then you are more than welcome to do that as well. It's all self-regulating. Now we're going to go through a full body warm-up, and we're just going to kind of get everything moving, get everything nice and fluid and loose. And our cool down is just going to be a really simple, quick cool down, focusing on the hips, focusing on the spine, focusing on the shoulders. So let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to step back here. We're first going to start off with a double hang here. We just want to decompress the spine a little bit. And so I'm going to have my right leg forward, my left leg back. I want the bottom of the sticks to be angled back towards me. And what I want to do from here is I want to wiggle that back foot back a little bit so I can get a big split in the hips. And then I'm going to drop down, getting a nice good hang here. Now I'm not keeping active shoulders, I'm just relaxing. Now I'm going to rotate side to side. I'm going to rotate towards my front leg, and then I'm going to rotate away from that front leg. I don't want my hips to rotate. This is just in the shoulders and spine. Just gonna floss back and forth here. Good. Back to center. Come up. Ease off. We're gonna switch sides here. So we do that same thing. Get the hands up nice and high. Sink down. Breathe. Rotate towards that front leg. Rotate to the left. Then right, left, right, left, and right. Back to center, come up, and ease off. Now we're going to go into T-spine extension with rotations. So I'm going to have both feet roughly about hip to shoulder width apart, whatever allows you to get into the hinge position comfortably. And now from here, I want to have the bottom of the sticks in line with my center foot and roughly about 3 inches in front of the line of my toes here. I'm going to have my hands at roughly about shoulder height. If you don't want to hinge as far, you can always bring your hands up a little bit higher. Adjust your hands as you need to. Now from here, I'm going to lightly drive the sticks down about 20%. And now I'm going to drive my hips back, reaching my hands out. And I want to get my torso as close to the floor as I can manage. Now from here, we're going to add in a little bit of flossing through extension and flexion. So from here, I'm in extension. Now I'm going to go through spinal flexion. I'm going to really drive my mid back up towards the ceiling and then extend my chest down towards the floor. Good. I'm going to round, so we'll go into spinal flexion. Like a cat camel. Extend. One more time. On the spinal flexion. And extension. Now I'm going to bring my chin back, and I'm going to move both sticks over to my right. And I want to keep my shoulders lined up effectively perpendicular to the floor. Come back to center. Go the opposite way. I'm going to go to the left. Good. Breathe. Back to center. right. Good. Left. Make sure your head clears your shoulders here. Excellent. Right. Now drop your shoulder down towards the floor. Get a little bit more rotation. Back up to center. Now to the left. Drop that right shoulder down. Up. Back to center. And come up. Excellent. Ease off. Now we're going to get into the snake and reach because we are going to be getting into some overhead pressing today. So remember, for the snake and reach, this is a very intense stretch. We're going to add in a little bit of tension on that posterior side by trying to drive that hand back, really open up those pec tissues. If I'm being honest, my pecs are a little sore today. So this is going to feel pretty good here if you're coming in a little bit sore. Now, to start off, we're going to go with the right knee down. My left leg is out at about a 45-degree angle. This allows us to get into the least stretch possible. I'm going to have the stick on the inside of my left thigh, roughly about mid-thigh here. Right hand comes up and over, thumb facing down towards the floor, cleared above my head. I'm going to snake that left shoulder through and get the stick under my left shoulder blade with my hand reaching down, thumb facing down towards the floor. Now from here, I'm going to walk my right hand up, nice and slow. Good. You're going to breathe. Now for a lot of people, this might be a stretch. So just hold this position here. Now if I want a little bit more of a stretch, I can move the bottom of the stick more towards my center line. Then I can move or wiggle my left foot in. And now from here, I'm going to try to drive my right hand back. And as I do that, I'm going to feel some tension in that upper back, the back of the shoulder. Like I'm trying to lift my right hand away from the stick. Ease off. Let's go one more time. Drive that right hand back. Try to reach that hand back from the stick. 3, 2, 1, back in. Wiggle your left foot out. Bring the bottom of the stick out. Walk your right hand down, nice and slow, and ease off. Now we're going to switch sides. So the good thing about this here is if you are somebody that's super mobile, you can get really, really deep into that stretch. But for the average person that's kind of tight, like myself, you can always slowly adjust this over time. This is something you can add in as a daily routine. It is quite effective. So we're gonna do that same thing. Right leg is out at a 45-degree angle. Stick is lined up with my mid-thigh. Left hand up over the top. Reach that right shoulder through. Get it under the shoulder blade. Walk that left hand up. Nice and high. Just hang out here for about 10 seconds. Breathe. Now I'm going to bring the bottom of the stick in towards my center line. Bring my right foot in a bit. Now I'm doing the same thing. I'm going to try to pull my left hand back away from the stick. Breathe. Ease off. Good. Let's go one more time. Put the left hand back. Three, 2, 1. Ease off. Wiggle that right foot back out. Bring the bottom of the stick over. Walk your left hand down. Excellent. Slowly come out. Wonderful. Good. So we don't need the pad for now. We are going to grab the second stick. Now what I want to do here is we're going to focus on pelvic tilts, anterior, posterior. However, after the pelvic tilts, we're gonna do effectively hip hikes. So these hip hikes are gonna be designed mainly to get that glute med active as well as the opposite QL, right? They are integrated. So let's get into those pelvic tilts first. I'll turn to the side here. So I'm gonna go with a wider than shoulder width stance for this one here. So you just want to keep, I want to keep it out a little wide, give a little bit more challenge to the hips. I'm gonna have the bottom of the sticks angled in towards me, just so when I drive the sticks down, it's going with that natural arm line here. My hands are gonna be roughly about shoulder level, maybe a little bit lower, and then I'm going to get down into that horse stance here. So it's a little bit of a knee bend, not a super deep knee bend. And now from here, I'm gonna drive both sticks down, about 30% tension, and we're just trying to move at the pelvis. We're not trying to move at the spine, right? If you're going through and you're getting a whole lot of spinal movement, you're not getting pelvic tilts here. So from this position, I'm gonna do a posterior tilt. So I'm gonna tuck my pelvis in, squeezing my glutes, driving my knees apart. If my pelvis is a bucket, I wanna tip it backwards. Now we're gonna go anterior, so I'm gonna tilt my pelvis the opposite way, and you should be feeling those mid and lower back tissues kind of tighten. So driving those sticks down, do a posterior tilt, tuck your pelvis in, squeeze those glutes, get them to fire. Excellent, now we're gonna go anterior tilt. Again, driving those sticks down into the floor. Posterior tilt, squeeze those glutes. Good, anterior tilt. Excellent, let's go one more time each way, posterior tilt. Good, anterior tilt. Excellent, ease off and relax. So for the hip hike, this is where things are gonna get a little interesting. It's gonna be very similar to when we do lateral pelvic tilts. It's effectively the same thing. However, we're gonna be on one leg here. Now, as we do this, we wanna act as if there's a string on the opposite side of the pelvis that we're trying, so on the side of the pelvis we're trying to hike up, you wanna act as if there's a string pulling that hip up. Now, what we don't wanna do is this. That's not a hip hike. What we want is to isolate this hip moving, just the hip, right? So we're gonna use the sticks for one as balance. And so what we're gonna do, we're gonna start on our left side first. So for somebody that may have a little bit of an offset pelvis or maybe got a little bit of lower back weirdness going on, this may potentially be a pretty good drill for you. And so I'm gonna have both sticks roughly about shoulder width, maybe a little bit wider. I'm gonna be on my left foot. My right leg is just kind of hovering off the floor. Now from here, I'm going to drive my right side of my pelvis up high, and I wanna push that right stick down to keep that right side active, and then I'm gonna drop that right hip back down. Hike it up, good, and then back down. Really simple movement. Up, good, down. You should be feeling that left glute med fire. Up, good, down, up, down. One more time, up, and down. Ease off, switch sides. The movement is not huge, but again, left glute med, right QL. So now we're gonna switch over to the other side. So we're gonna do the right side here. We're gonna do that same thing. Make sure you're driving that left stick down to keep your body from doing this. We're gonna bump the left hip up. Good, back down. It's one, up, down, two, up, down, three, up, down, four, we got two more, up, down, five, last one, up, and down, six. Excellent. Now we're gonna go out to that wide stance again. We're gonna go with lateral pelvic tilts. So we'll just kind of practice that movement a little bit. Now from here, having the sticks angled in towards me, drive those sticks down, sink into the horse stance, slight posterior tilt. Now I'm gonna bump that right hip up. Good. Now I'm gonna bump the left hip up. Excellent. Bump the right hip up and left hip. Right, left, good. One more each way, right, excellent, and left. Back to center, ease off. Excellent. So now, place the sticks down. So this is where we get into our fun stuff. This is where we're gonna get into our conditioning. So again, I have 16 kilo kettlebells. And the very first exercise we're gonna do a double kettlebell swing. Now, for this, the kettlebells are gonna be straight, both arms straight down. You can do this with one kettlebell, but this is meant to be a double kettlebell kind of thing. Now, your stance is gonna have to be wider. You're gonna have to figure out what stance feels most comfortable for you, and also what allows you to get the proper swing and contraction going. And so again, like I mentioned earlier, it's gonna be anywhere between 5 to 10 reps. So go with whatever repetition range or rep that feels most comfortable for you. I'm gonna shoot for sets of 10. As we do this, keep your back from getting involved by making sure you're squeezing your glutes and keeping your core engaged, right? Now, how high the kettlebell swing up, it is indicative by how hard and how fast you swing, not by how high you lift it with your shoulders, right? So I want those arms to be relatively relaxed. So I'm gonna take a step back here. I have both my kettlebells right next to one another. My stance is gonna be relatively wide here, basically like the horse stancer for the pelvic tilt. Now from this position here, I'm gonna reach down, I'm gonna grab the kettlebells, I'm gonna angle them towards me. I want my thumbs to be facing in front the entire time. So from here, I'm gonna sit my hips back. I'm gonna pull the kettlebells back to initiate that swing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Simple-ish. I'm gonna show again from the side. We're gonna do 2 sets of everything, then we're gonna kind of put everything together, right? So I'm gonna show from the side here. And again, the thing I want you to kind of pay attention to is what my back is doing. I'm moving at the hips, I'm not moving at my back. So I'm gonna get set in position again. Let's go for another set. Get the hands on the kettlebells, sink my hips back, pull those kettlebells in, swings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Excellent. Good. Now, we've got the kettlebells down. Now we're gonna bring in a clean. So we're gonna go from kettlebell swings to kettlebell cleans. Now the clean is gonna be a little challenging because you wanna keep those kettlebells close to you. So when you transition, it's not slamming on your shoulder, right? You want that transition to be nice and smooth. So as I go through to swing that kettlebell, I'm pulling up and flipping and getting my elbows under to catch in that front rack position. So we're gonna get set again. So we're gonna do 10 swings. Let's do 5 cleans, okay? 1, 7, 8. On the 10th rep, now we got cleans. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, we don't want those kettlebells to swing out far to pull back in and catch. That is not a good technique to go with, and it is quite painful. So keep those kettlebells close to you or keeping them close to you allows for a much smoother transition as you go to receive that front rack position. So let's go again. This time, if you're feeling pretty good, you're feeling confident, let's go 10 reps on those cleans, okay? Let me get set. Right. Now we got cleans. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Excellent. Good. Heart rate's up a little bit. Kind of getting a little bit of sweat going. Now that we did the cleans, now we're going to add in an overhead press. You have two options here. You can do a strict overhead press, or you can do a push press, right? Push press, you get more leg drive. So if the weights are maybe a little bit too heavy for you to do press overhead, it is completely okay to do a push press if you get a little bit exhausted, a little fatigued, because again, this is cardiovascularly taxing as well. It's okay to switch from a strict press to a push press. Whatever allows you to do the exercise the safest. The knee bend for a push press isn't like a deep squat. It's knee bend, boom. It's an explosive, boom, kind of movement. So take your time. Again, for the push press, let's go 5. Or for the presses, let's go 5. If you're doing push press or strict, either one. Now, let's go ahead and get set. So let's go with 10, 10, 5 kind of deal. Again, it's to be a little exhausting here. So feet are wide, set in position, draw those hips back. Cleans. Presses. Good. Take a break. Awesome. It's getting a little exhausted. I'm getting a little out of breath here. Now, we're gonna do a second set. Again, if you're feeling good, you're feeling confident, feel like you can push a little bit harder, now we're gonna add an additional 5 reps onto that press. So remember, regulate it however you need to. Do this with the safest weight and safest manner possible. If you're going too heavy, your technique feels off, lighten that weight, right? Not trying to push you that hard. I want you to push within a good zone where you can still have good technique and you're keeping control of the kettlebells and your movement pattern. I don't want you to be thrown off. I want you to be as efficient as you possibly can get. So we're gonna do another set, adding in that press, adding an extra 5. However, after that, the very last step we're gonna do is a bent over row, okay, with the kettlebells. And again, we're still gonna do 2 sets for that, but bent over row doesn't particularly need a whole lot of specialization in terms of what you need to do technique-wise, but it will be exhausting, right? So we're gonna go for 10 for that row as well when we get to it. So let's go for 10 again. So 10, 10, 10, it's 30 reps. Let's get to it. So let's go ahead and get set in position. Make sure you're breathing. You inhale when you're swinging back, exhale when you're swinging up, all right? Breathing is really important here. right, ready, get set, go. Clean. Presses. Excellent. Whew. Take a break. Take a break. I'm going to take a little break. We're going to talk for a second. Now, when working with kettlebells, it is a lot more challenging. It's a little bit more technical than certain things. So if kettlebells are something you don't have access to, or maybe it's just a piece of equipment you're really not all that comfortable with, you can always use dumbbells instead. Dumbbells can be a little bit better in the sense that you don't have a handle and a weight that's separate of that handle or further from your hand that you have to control as much. With the dumbbell, there's much easier control of the weight as you're going through the exercises. So if you feel more comfortable working with the dumbbell or pair of dumbbells, I should say, instead of kettlebells, don't be afraid to do that. You can always change out your equipment wherever you need to if your comfort level working with certain equipment just isn't there. And that's okay. Some people don't like working with kettlebells. Some people maybe aren't that comfortable or don't have that much experience. So working with dumbbells is a much easier way to kind of transition into kettlebell training if that's something that you're actually interested in. Now, this is where we add in the row. Once we get that overhead press over with, and actually, let's do one set because I'm not trying to kill you, I'm trying to keep you alive longer by keeping you healthy. Let's get into that row after we finish with the presses. With the row, let's start going for 20 reps here, yeah? So since we're not doing 2 sets, let's actually up the row portion of the movement. Let's up that to 20. This is gonna be a long set. But remember, if you need to, slow it down, take a break in between. You don't have to go within super fast succession. Take a break if you need to. Not trying to hurt you. All right. So let's go ahead and get set in position here. Let's get it, folks. So we got 10 of each one. Starting with that swing first. Hips back. Now we got cleans. Presses. Excellent. Now we got our rows. Close stance position. Let's get 20. One more. Good. My goodness. That was actually really exhausting. Okay. So now we're done with the conditioning or strength training part, which was meant to be challenging. And I will say, I'm a little tired, folks. I'm a little tired. But we're done with that part now. Now move the kettlebells over to the side. Don't have to worry about them anymore. Now we're gonna get into our cool down. Now, like I mentioned earlier, the cool down is gonna be specific: hips, spine, shoulders, right? Just 3 different things because I wanna focus on some of those areas that we happen to hit today. So we are going to go with our pad, and we're gonna go with both sticks. Start at the hips first. First, we're gonna get into those anterior tissues, those hip flexors. Stretch those out first, then we're gonna get into those adductors. So I'll actually turn to the side for this, for the hip flexor stretch. So I'm gonna go right knee down, left leg forward. Now, the sticks are gonna act as a way for us to create a little bit of tension, keep us in a good position. So I'm gonna have the bottom of the sticks in line with the ball of my foot on my front foot. Back foot, I have plantar flex, so I'm extending that back ankle. Now from here, I have my hands roughly about shoulder height. I'm gonna drive both sticks down, only 20%. I'm gonna tuck my pelvis, squeeze my right glute. I'm gonna shift my hips forward. Breathe. Deep breath. Now we're gonna keep that tension the entire time. We're gonna come back and then we're gonna shift forward. So now we're gonna do reps. 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. 5. Ease off and relax. Now I'm going to turn forward. Left leg forward. Sorry, left knee down, right leg forward. Same thing. Back foot is plantar flexed. Drive that back foot into the floor. Drive the sticks down 20%. Tuck the pelvis and squeeze out left glute. Shift those hips forward. Breathe. Now let's do 5 reps. Shift forward. 1, back and forward. 2, 3, 4, last 1. 5, excellent, ease off. Now, for the adductors, this left leg is gonna come out to the side. So we're still gonna go right knee down. Or we're gonna go right knee down, sorry. And so I'm gonna have bottom of the sticks angled out in front. My foot is out to the left. I wanna try to keep my foot pointed forward as best as I can. Now from here, the sticks are gonna act as a guide. My back foot is just dorsiflex. I have the big toe into the floor just so I can manage a little bit of balance. Now from here, I'm gonna start to shift my hips back and reach forward with both hands, sinking back into that hip. So you should be getting a stretch on that left adductor. Bring your hips forward just a little bit so you sit up and ease off, and then sink right back into it. Breathe. Back up. One more time. Good. We're going to come up. Place your hands up by your shoulders on the sticks. Come up. Wiggle that foot in. Nice and easy. Now we're going to switch sides. Now we're going to go right foot out. So remember, try to keep that foot pointed forward as best you can. Sticks are on the shoulders, angled out in front. From here, you're going to sink those hips back, reach out with the hands. Nice big stretch in the adductor. hips forward, and back. Breathe. Excellent, hips forward. Last one, hips back. Excellent. Bring your hands up. Sit yourself up and wiggle that foot in. Nice and easy. Now from here, we're going to place one stick down. And what we're going to do is we're going to get into the slap shot. Now we're going to get the spine, we're going to get the shoulders, we're going to get the chest here, but still going to stretch out that chest a little bit. Right? Now I'm going to go with a wide stance. Remember, as usual, your stance is completely dependent upon you and whatever's most comfortable. So if you need to start off with a more narrow stance because you can't sink into those hips as well, then do so. It's up to your discretion. Now I'm going to have the stick behind my mid back here. Hands are out. And what I want to do from here, I want to have a soft bend to my knees and drive my hips back. Now I get a nice little stretch in the hamstrings. I just did deadlifts yesterday, so it feels pretty good. So if your hamstrings are a little sore, a little tight, this is good to hold. We want to breathe here. I'm going to rotate the left end of the stick down to my center line, pull apart, get that rotation, ease off, rotate the right end down, place it on the floor, get that rotation, ease off, rotate the left, pull apart, ease off, rotate the right end down, pull apart, ease off. Now we're going to rotate that left end further across. Going to pull apart here. Okay. Now we're going to lunge to the left. Good. Back to center. Lunge to the left again. Back to center. Lunge to the left. Back to center. Now we're going to come back to neutral. Rotate the right end down. Pull apart. Lunge to the right. Back to center. Lunge to the right again. Back to center. Last one. Lunge to the right. Back to center. Back to neutral. Stand up. Wiggle those feet in. Excellent. We're going to pick up our second stick just to finish stretching out the chest. We're going to go with our feet about roughly hip width, toes forward. Bottom of the sticks are in line with the toes. I'm going to have both hands straight out, and I'm going to start to hinge forward into a hang, and this gets the pecs, right? So just want to hold this position here. Focus on your breathing. Get a nice chest stretch. Come back up. Let's go into it one more time, folks. Hinge. Get a nice good hang in those hands. Breathe. Three, two, one. Slowly come up and ease off. And that, my friends, concludes today's stick mobility class. Thank you for joining me today, everybody. Hope everybody had a good class. Again, just wanted to keep it kind of more so conditioning based, but I will be sure to catch you all next week. Have a good one. Stay safe.